everybody to Tony's Top Tips Workshop. This is a bit of a video on, a while back I did a video on a marine tank that I'd acquired. Well, we'd upgraded over space of about 2 years, 2 and a bit years, from an Evo, small Evo tank to a Fluval Flex, which is a curved screen one, marine one. We've had lots of tropical fish tanks before, but we'd never gone into marine side, and we're still relatively newbies at this. My wife deals with the feeding side and everything of the fish, and I deal with all the sort of doing the salt water and doing all the water testing. I deal with all that. Now, initially from the start, I wanted to be able to produce my own RO water, make my own salt water. Oh, you can buy it inexpensively really, but I think works out about 20 pence a litre for salt water, and the local shop we go to, which is Radical Aquatics in Leeds, you get your RO water for nothing, but you pay for your salt water. But I wanted to actually do my own, so we started on a 4-stage RO system, which is, I'll show you. Let me tip you down. There we go. I hope you can all see that. That's the 4-stage RO system. We're in the downstairs bit of my house. It's next to the workshop, and we have a utility kitchen here. And this is piped in from outside, and it's got the 4-stage RO system on it, and it's got the TDS meter, which measures it in and it measures it out. If I put it on in, it's 56 parts per million. There it's 0, and wastewater runs into the sink, because obviously you've got, as you can see there, that's what you class as dirty water, although it's extremely good to drink. Yeah. And that is the RO water. Just leave it in there, and I have about 5 of these 5-litre containers, but I have my 25-litre containers in my workshop, and every Monday I change 25 litres of my salt water. It's about a 180 litre tank, so and it's doing rather well at the moment. But reason for this video is I've been asked how am I coping with it, being a newbie and everything else, and I love doing this, but it is a bit of a tie, because every Monday I have to do this water change, or I do anyway, 25 litres. So I heat to decant the water off into a separate container. I have a circulation pump, and I have an automatic heater with a digital gauge on that actually heats the water up, and the pump just keeps it circulating so it gets an even temperature. I wait till it gets to 26, and then on the temperature gauge, and then I know my salt water's ready. I then go upstairs and I decant 25 litres off with the siphon gun. Take 25 litres out, then I pump from the bucket the 25 litres of new salt water into an existing bucket, and then take that upstairs and I pour it in. Now, because 25 litres is quite heavy, well, it is for me, and to lift the 25 litres up and put it on the tank in order to tip it in, I don't do that. I do it in 2 lots. So I put the pump in the bucket, pump about half into a barrel, take that upstairs, and then, believe it or not, I learnt this from somebody off of YouTube. When you pour your water in, pour it through a little filter. You will be surprised the particles that are still in that. Now, the salt that I use is, I'll show you what I get. That's the salt I use. See that? It's quite a good salt make. I get it from a local shop. I'm not advertising it, but it's quite a good salt make, and it dissolves rather quickly, and it leaves very little particles in the water. But that's why I filter it. With the other salt that I used to use, that had all little bits in it that wouldn't dissolve. Don't know what it was, but this is pretty clean, this salt. So pour it through that, top up, and then I change the filter flossers, and then that's the water change done. But just recently we've acquired, or my wife did, a pair of we thought looked very nice, crocodile or alligator pipefish, whichever you want to call them, and we didn't know when we purchased them that you have to be rather experienced to keep these. Well, you learn by your mistakes, don't you? We didn't know. All the other fish, and we've got a good selection of them in the marine tank, we didn't know that these were going to be really difficult to feed. Now they would eat live mysis, and they would eat live brine shrimp, but to get them on frozen mysis or brine shrimp has been very, very difficult. It's been a challenge. Now, we were told that the fish were actually on frozen food. We're not so sure they were. They were on sort of, they've been feeding but very, very little. So we actually, what we did was we started to feed them, direct feed them live mysis and live brine shrimp, and introduce a little bit of frozen mysis. Now we use that, or we did do, we don't know. Unfortunate, the female pipefish died. It just, we think it starved, weren't getting enough food, and they're not aggressive fish, and they won't fight for food. You know, they'll be bullied out of eating by smaller fish, a lot smaller. They're very, very gentle. They remind you a bit of a seahorse face wise, and they have a small mouth at the end of the nose. It's a rather long feature, and when they're eating you can tell because they actually snap. You can see them snap at the food. They have what opens up here, which is like a mouth. I'm not too sure on what it is, but my wife said it that. But I felt that I needed to do something, because mysis, we were getting bags of mysis. Now, if you work along the assumption, we were getting 20 bags of copepods per week, because they'll feed on copepods as well, and you need a good supply in there. So we put 20 bags of copepods in there a week, and we're only talking 180 to 200 litre tank. Okay, they're about £1.20 a bag. Take Einstein to work out how expensive it is. We got brine shrimp then, which is the same, but we were getting on average about 8 to 10 of those a week. So if you said same, so that's topside 30 bags a week. And then we were getting mysis, which are round about the same, a little bit, probably a little bit dearer. Now with the brine shrimp and the copepods, there's quite a lot in the bag. One of the little filled sachets, live brine shrimp and copepods. But believe it or not, when you get the mysis, you can count them for £1.20, and the fish will eat them like that. And just to keep, they do eat the brine, they love the live brine shrimp. But you know, we felt that if we can get them onto frozen mysis, would be better and supplement it with the live brine. So this is what this video is about. I've watched on YouTube, and I go on about YouTube and how you can learn from it, and I watch people breeding their own brine shrimp from young babies, which are very, very small, but have a lot of nourishment in for the fish, but you don't want to feed them too much of them. So I've watched on YouTube, so I decided on getting a system up and running that I could breed my own brine shrimp. And I've just come back yesterday from holiday, so I had to the other week. Actually, this is why I haven't had any videos on, and I do apologise for that to my subscribers. But the reason why is I had to sort of feed all what I had live. I didn't want to leave it because one of the bugbears, unfortunate, of having a marine tank, and a marine tank with crocodile pipe fishing, is the fact that to go away on a holiday you have to have somebody that's really, really dedicated into feeding your fish and looking after them. It's a big responsibility because you've lots of money in that tank and it can go pear-shaped. And although we wouldn't hold anybody responsible, but my brother and my nephew came round, one in the morning and one at evening time, and fed the fish how we'd instructed, pump off, feed them, and everything's come back and everything's spot on. They've done a real fantastic job on that. But I had to sort of not dismantle the system, finish it all for going away. I couldn't leave that up and running because you need to harvest. Once you've got it up and running, which I'll show you in a minute, the system I use, you have to harvest it sort of on a day-to-day basis. Add new, harvest, add new, harvest, and that's how I've been working. And it's supplied really large brine shrimp, live adult brine shrimp, for a number of weeks, and it's just kept going. But obviously I'm starting it back off today, so I'll show you onto what my setup is, and see what you think to it. Right, here we have my system. Now, when I first was finding the information on YouTube, I actually saw a chap using one of these here. Not expensive, and it's in a container with rings and a plastic insert ring inside, and then a little basket there. People will see them. I've started this off today, so there's no babies at the moment. And all you do is basically fill it with your salt water, and I use my salt that I use for making my salt water for the fish tank. Those are the eggs that I use. I got them off Amazon, about 20 quid, and there's must be millions in there, and they're good at hatching, 95% hatch rate. But obviously the longer you keep it refrigerated, but the longer you have air inside when you're taking it out and opening it and taking more out, putting the lid on, the hatching rate goes down somewhat, but they still hatch. So I've used a fraction out of there, and I've been going weeks with it. So that's the brine shrimp. But then I purchased this unit here. Now this unit has a purpose-made cone and a tap at the bottom. Got it off Amazon again, and it's a sieve there, fine filter, and a canister underneath. It's got an air intake, and the tube goes down to the bottom, and then this is the outlet, and it's a locking system at the top with an O-ring on. And I fill that with 500 mils of salt water, and I add 4 scoops of the brine shrimp eggs. They're in suspension all the time. They need to be moving all the time. It doesn't need a right lot of heat because it's quite warm down here anyway. The lamp is off Amazon again, and it's a USB lamp, and I've found out that when I have light there like that, I turn that off in the night time, but I do some on the eggs. I keep it on 24/7 until the eggs hatch, and then that goes on the tank then, because I don't need to set this up for a while then, because I've enough eggs in there to pass on to the other tank. So here we have the, I've got it as tank 2, but it's actually the next tank that I put them into. So when the eggs hatch from there, they're moved into this jar, and the jar is just it cost a couple of quid with a bamboo top, but I 3D printed it on the top and used a seal to keep it sealed, and stainless steel metal drinking straw inside, let the air out. You must have air movement. So when the actual eggs hatch, they're moved into here, and what I do then is I keep adding the eggs, and then as they grow, once there's enough there to feed this tank for probably about 3 to 4 days, you'll see them growing in here. I add a little bit of food, not much on this stage, and this is the food I use. It's a powdered food, spirulina flake, what we used to feed the fish, but we use it for here, and I crush it up right fine, and then I just sprinkle a tud in here, and it, not too much, don't put a lot in. It's got the heat mat underneath, which is, as I said before, a tortoise one, and it's controlled by a dial. You set it at the temperature you want. I've got one under the other mat there at the moment. That's just because there's no heat on this one, and I ain't using the mat. It would normally be under here, under the big tank, but I'm not using that at the moment, so it's pointless heating that, and it'll just bring these on a little bit quicker. Some are already starting to hatch, and I only did that yesterday. Starting to, as I say, the young will go into here, the freshly hatched eggs, and then I leave them in here till they get to a set size, and I've got to know how to do it now. And then once they come from here, I empty all the water out, and I use it's a very, very fine net. I use this for copepods, when I was breeding copepods. I decant everything out, capture it all, and then I lower the net with all the captured young brine shrimp into the big tank, and just move it about a bit, and then that releases them all from the net, because they're quite clingy sometimes to the net, so you've got to just move it about a bit. And I put all them from there into here, and then I put the water back in here, and then I just use this again. Any more eggs, I keep them in there. Then, because this will hold quite a lot of brine shrimp, just before I went on holiday, I cleaned it all. I mean, this looks relatively clean, but it won't stay like that. I'm at the level, and I keep checking the water for salinity. They're all at 1.025, same as my tank upstairs, and everything's filtered out. So once they go into this big tank, then, and I start to feed them a little bit more, and you'll see them growing on, because you can see the tails appearing on the brine shrimp, and then like a wavy feather side to them. You see them, and they get quite big, believe me. And then what I do from there is, once they get to a set size, I have a net here. Now that net will let the small, because believe it or not, even when the adults are in here, they start to lay eggs, and you'll see them on the bottom, the eggs, and then you start getting young brine shrimp. They're self-containing, really. They start to breed in there, so you don't want to pick them out to feed the fish. I just want the actual brine shrimp, so the adults. So what I do is I wave that about a couple of times inside the water, and then look in the bottom, and normally there's enough in there for a couple of days feeds. And then I take them out, put them in the filter, wash them, with normal, I use RO water into the white filter. Once I've done that, then I pop it into my squirty bottle, bit of salt water, and then they're ready to go into the tank. So there's no cross contamination. I don't and believe it or not, from this alone, from the eggs, and I showed you the amount of eggs that you get inside that tube that I use, I must have had over 50 what you would call bags, the sealed bags, packets that you get from the aquatic shops. They're £1.20 a piece to £1.25, and I must have had over 50 of those from here, over 50, well over, and I had to check and clean out from to go away with. So you just keep on, and the beauty about that is you're only taking the adults out because of the hole in the meshing. Anything that passes through there you don't want. You want that to grow on, so you don't take too much at a time, you just take enough, and then of course this is bringing some more on. So when this is getting to the point of putting in, then I just do the same again. Pop it, filter them out, pop them in here, and start this off again, start the eggs off. And it's and I'll get to a stage where I won't have to use both these. I'll only use that one. This one I'll just clean up and put to one side. It's only when I do a complete clean out, and I found I have to do that. This will green up because you're feeding it, and I also put a liquid feed in, which is phytoplankton, and I put 3 syringefuls in every day, little about 5ml syringefuls in every day, and it's enough to feed them, as long with the food, the flake food. And I just sprinkle a little bit, but often. I don't put it all in at once. I put a little bit, but often. And you can see them. I mean, they got really large in here, bigger than the ones that I actually have bought from the shop. And I'm really pleased with this. But it's so you're just keeping it going, and it's once you've got this water. Probably in for about 4 months before I probably would have kept testing it, and what I did do now and again, I'll take maybe a couple of litres out and just top it up with fresh salt water. That's all I've done. This will go funny looking green, you'll get a sediment on the bottom, but it's healthy for the brine shrimp. They just seem to thrive in it, and you can see them all. Obviously you will, I haven't touched wood yet, and I've been doing it a while now, had a crash, but I'm no doubt I will get a crash where they'll all suddenly die for whatever reason. Something's gone wrong and they'll just die, but it's simple enough just to start off again. So that's the actual brine shrimp hatchery now that I have. So that's my system for breeding my own brine shrimp. Now, as we were talking about earlier about the heat mats. These are from Amazon, £7 each. Plug into the mains, safe enough. I've got a USB adapter for the light, that was about £9, wasn't expensive. So the tank was an old tank. In fact, I had it on, it's got a light in top, lights on 24/7. I had that on Facebook to try and sell it, and I thought, oh no, I'm going to utilise that. And they need light, as they all do, and a little bit of heat, not too much. It's normally, I keep the temperature roughly round about of a temperature gauge on the side of the tank, and one of the stick-on ones, and it's normally about 76, 24. So it doesn't need to be, I didn't want to start with a internal heater. These work perfect. absolutely perfect. In fact, I'm going to get a longer one of these that will go from front to back of the tank, but it works fine. You've different light settings for the light, but this, you know, when we first got the pipefish, we didn't realise the amount of food that we needed to variate the diet. I suppose it's like seahorses really, and the one that's left now he can be a bit picky, but he is eating frozen mysis, and we just couldn't, the amount of money we were paying out for live mysis and the number that was in there. In fact, we counted in one bag, there was 12 in. Now that's better than gold at £1.20 a bag. It's not I didn't want to be paying out continue for that, so, and he's quite happy on brine shrimp and live and obviously frozen mysis, and he seems to be doing fine on it. It's quite active, so we're hoping to get maybe a couple more, a mate for him and probably 2 more, another pair, but we don't know yet. But this is, you know, when you go away on holiday, you've got to think about this. It's you can put a dog in kennels if you're going away, or a cat in kennels, but with a fish tank, a marine fish tank, you've got to have somebody that's responsible and is prepared to take the risk on coming around and feeding your fish, turning the pump off, because, you know, the flow has to be turned off. The wave maker's still on, but the flow has to be turned off on this aquarium of ours, just in order for him to get fed. The other fish would feed fine, they'd eat it all before it's gone, but he will get bullied out of the way by a lot smaller fish, so you've got to make sure he's being fed. And my brother and my nephew have been extremely good at it. The other thing that I've done is I've created these. Now, 3D printed these. Right. The other thing that I did was to make it easier as well for feeding, because when they come round and, you know, to defrost the fish and this and that, you want somebody. I don't want them spending all the time round here defrosting fish food, frozen mysis to feed the fish. So I came up with these. Now I know you can get similar things on, you know, on the internet, but they're like about £30, and to be honest with you, they're 3D printed but poorly printed, very, very poorly printed. I purchased one and I looked at it and I thought, oh God, it was like printed on a first time 3D printer. You could see the layer lines. It was terrible, and it was £29 some pence, and I thought that, so I sent it back. There was no way I was going to have that, and I thought there's got to be a better way and better design. Now what I did was, this is the actual, roughly the size of the one that I purchased off the internet. Now that's magnetic, as you can see, and you have to have it, because my glass is 10mm thick, so you have to have a magnet that's strong enough to work through glass. But the other problem that we have is that turns. I'll pull this out at the moment. They turn, and so does that one. And the angle of the holes, you must put these where there's a flow. So you set it so that the water level is somewhere just under the rim there. And the water, because of the angle of the holes, the water flows in, it creates a spiral inside. And same at the bottom, so as it's creating it inside like a whirlpool, you can see the frozen food when you pop it in, and it goes in there. Now in the bottom you see, let me show you this one, this turns and so does that. So obviously if you had it like that, as you can see right through, so that'd take all the fish out rather quickly. Once it starts to defrost, it comes out bit by bit. But if you turn it, whichever one you turn, it'll misalign the holes, so you can allow the flow to take out the food as much as you want it to. over the period of time. So really, and it drops out of the centre, or sometimes it comes out of the top up here, but majority come out underneath, and the fish just wait. It's a really good idea because it stops the food being put in all at once and then some settling on the bottom and not being eaten. And I made it so that if you look at these, there's an O-ring in, you can see that O-ring. That'll fit bottom, or you know, vice versa, you can swap them round, and they just pop back in, and there's a groove inside this, 2 grooves, and the bottom one is the same. Okay, but what I found was, when I had this in the marine tank for my brother to pop the food in, and it's worked great. They just pop it in, they make sure it's starting to dissolve, and they just don't have to worry about it. And then what he were doing was making sure the pipe fish got some food, frozen food, and it was. But we found we have 2 sea urchins in there, and one of them's quite big. Now that's magnetic and it holds on quite well, but believe it or not, he can get hold of this when he wants to. If he's coming up to it, and he does, goes all the way around it. If he's attaching himself from the glass to this, he can turn this. Believe me, they've a real strong pull on them of urchins, and then he'll go round, and by the time you finish, it's like that. And that's because we've got urchins in. And he's rather a large one, so with a small tuxedo in there, but he doesn't tend to bother it too much, but he does go on it. So that was the other problem with hers. So what I did was, which you don't get on the other one, it's just magnetic on the other one, is I devised this. Now this is what I use on my tank. That slots over my glass, and it's perfectly level, because that face is level with that one. Okay, so magnetically, when I put that over onto the glass, it locks in. It's 10mm glass, that gap's 10mm, so it locks in and it's level. And the sea urchin, and your lid goes down next to it, so the sea urchin doesn't move that. It's really good, and you just pop it in and walk away, and you see now and again the food coming out underneath as it defrosts, and then the fish pick it up as it's coming out. They know where to go for the food, really, you know. And for me to 3D print that, next to nothing really. Bit of time designing it, and obviously that's got to be so that no matter where you put it, it holds its station. But it is plastic, so it has got a floatable. It's sort of buoyant, is that itself, so because there's air inside the cavities. Yeah, brilliant piece. But so I thought, and my local aquatic shop that I go to said, oh, you couldn't do me a smaller one, could you? So I made a smaller one. Well, you can see the diameter of that, it's different. Works the same, magnetic, and a slide. The only difference I did with that was, because I don't know with a smaller one, I've tried it in mine, it works perfect, but you can, this is a tall top part and a short bottom, but you can swap it round. You can put that in the bottom and that in the top, depending what you want, what level of your water is. So, and that's the reason I designed it. Same holes, they're just smaller, that's all, and O-rings as well. Okay, so that's another option that I had when I went away to feed the fish. And I'll show you something else now. Right, hope you can all see. I'll just hope you can see that. Right, this is for me to feed my live brine shrimp. Just sort this out. Right. Right, that's just the plug for the air pump and the power adapter for the peristaltic pump. It's a dosing pump, right? And I like this because this is wireless, and what it does is I've got another pump on the way, because it's going to be feeding frozen mice. This is this. What it is, and I've tested it and it works perfect. These are, I think these are about £6, £7 for two. You put juice in them and they're resealable, lids come off, and all I've done is put an airline in and the pickup tube, okay, and what I do is put live brine in one and frozen mysis in the other one, and believe it or not, I set it and it doses. I've had it dosing about 4 times a day for brine shrimp. At the moment, because we're not on holiday, we don't need to put the frozen brine mysis in, but the brine shrimp, I fill it up to about that level. Put the brine shrimp in. There's quite a few in there, and what the air hose does is keeps the mysis in suspension, because otherwise they would all settle to the bottom and then you'd pick up all the mysis rather quickly. So as the level goes down, it's picking it up and it passes them through. It doesn't, I thought it might have damaged them, it doesn't. And I have a clip on the tank. There it is, that's the outlet for it. That clips into it, you can already see some salt water in it, and it just periodically throughout the day, whenever I want it to do it, I can do it manually, and I do it an app on my phone, and I could do it from on holiday, if I'm abroad or we're up Scotland, and I just manually feed it, and have a camera on the tank as well, so I can watch the tank, and it just pumps. I think this is set for it delivers about 10 mil of live brine shrimp, which is enough just for a little feed. There's enough in it, and it seems to work fine. I mean, the pumps are about, I think they work about £80, and I need another one, but I could use this for dosing the tank as well. It's quite a good system, really. 3D printed bottoms, but it will have, you will pick up live brine shrimp in the tube, but because you're not keeping it, you're not feeding them every day, once a day, then the brine shrimp keep alive inside the tube. So when I feed it in the morning, and then it feeds it another 10 mil maybe at about 11 o'clock, the brine shrimp are still alive, so they're going into the tank still alive, and then once it's emptied, it'll just finish. And you set the amount of, on the pump on the app, you set the amount of actual fluid that's in your container, so that it knows after every dose that it's, when you've calibrated it, that the tank's empty and it shuts off. It's really good. And then of course you've got to calculate that when you're delivering 10 mils is that your length of fluid that's in the tube. So, but that's easy enough on setup, and that feeds me live brine shrimp, and that lasted, we're still alive. We'd been away for up to Scotland, and when I came back home there was still some, right, a little bit of fluid in the bottom, because obviously you can't pick that up because you set it just from the bottom, and there was still some live brine shrimp in, and there was still some in the tube, so I just blew the tube through in the tank. And simple and safe. I'm gonna, now I'm home, I'm probably gonna use it for dosing my tank if I need to do it. Just fill it up with the fluids, get another pump, and set it, and that's another way. It becomes complicated when you get a marine tank, because there is a lot of looking after to deal with. Well, that's my video for today. I'm still running, in fact that's just done. Still running some RO water off. Had to use my top up tank and this morning, refill it. So yeah, I'm pretty self-contained now with brine shrimp, and I've had, as a repeat, I've had a lot of like good quality brine shrimp. There's no dead in, like you get in some of them, you get the packets and there's a lot dead in the bottom. Every one of them that I've put in my tank have been alive and thriving, and you can see that because they're really quick. The fish have to chase them. That helps me with the actual tank for frozen mysis, so that's good, and that's one I've done for as a favour. But yep, all done and dusted, and it's one of them things that I've been on YouTube. I spent quite a few hours on it, listening to people how they breed brine shrimp and this and other, and I've looked at their setups and I think, oh god, that tank looks mucky, and they've all said it will get like that, but they just seem to thrive in it as brine shrimp, and they're right. They're the simplest things to hatch and breed yourself, and when you've got things like seahorses or pipefish that want live food, well, any fish really, it's good for them. You can put in live food in a tank is better than putting flake or frozen food in, because it's still in there until it's picked up and eaten. You don't lay on the bottom rotting. So yep, that's me done. So that's my video. I'm going to be doing another one. I'll show you the tank when the large brine shrimp. I've been asked, somebody said please show us when you've got the live brine shrimp in, and we'll see where it goes from there, and I will do a video on that. So don't forget, please like and subscribe. I've had some not very nice comments lately. I dismiss them, but people saying, oh, do I have to listen to another retired person harp on for 30 minutes, or should we be retired ourselves? There's no need for it. I don't get paid for any of this. This is off my own bat, or what I get here, what you see in my videos, I purchase myself. I don't get anything, and I do it because I find a lot of satisfaction by going on YouTube and finding information so that I can do things like this. You know, and if I watch somebody's video, I'll give them a like or a subscribe. If you know, if it's that way, you know, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't cost anybody anything. So please like and subscribe. Don't forget notification. And until next time, you be safe. You be careful. And from Tony's Top Tips Workshop, bye for now.